On this primary election day 2026, one of the most competitive congressional races in the country beginning to take shape today. Congressional District 1 covers East Phoenix, Scottsdale, Cave Creek, and into Fountain Hills. The seat is open with Republican David Schweikert leaving it to run for governor on the Republican side. 12 News journalist Joe Dana looks at the Democratic candidates trying to break through in a crowded field.
The Democratic field for Congress in District 1 features two newcomers and two familiar candidates. During a recent Clean Elections primary debate, all four said their personal backgrounds helped set them apart. Amish Shah, an emergency room physician, is the only candidate with experience as a state legislator.
During my time there, I was one of the most effective legislators. I passed more bills into law than any Democrat in a decade down there.
Marlene Galan Woods is the daughter of Cuban immigrants and a former broadcast journalist.
I always had my life's work focused on exposing the truth and holding people accountable. That is exactly what I will do in Washington, D.C.
Jonathan Treble highlights his upbringing in a pro-union household, and more recently his experience navigating the healthcare industry as a patient needing costly surgery for a brain growth.
And I'm going to bring that fight to Washington to make sure no Arizonan has to fight for their life and fight for their coverage at the same time.
Rick McCartney touts his business chops as founder of a business magazine and former chair of a county workforce development board.
For 30 years, I have led organizations that have absolutely improved what happens here in our community.
But getting to Congress will also require a political advantage over the would-be Republican nominee. Treble portrays himself holding the banner of a new generation of Democrats.
Medicare for all, universal child care, reversing the Donald Trump tax cuts that were really in favor of billionaires and corporations.
Shaw highlights his broad coalition of supporters, not just Democrats, but a former state Republican House Speaker.
My biggest issue is that the Trump administration is simply violating the Constitution of the United States and desecrating it, and I'm going to hold him to account.
Galan Woods touts the endorsement of Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays. Both are former Republicans.
What I'm doing now is I am speaking to independents, I am speaking to Republicans, and I am speaking to Democrats all across the board. People are horrified by what they are seeing in this country, the corruption.
McCartney says winning the general will require appealing to conservatives turned off by the president.
And the first thing that we need to do, and as soon as we flip this House, is we need to repeal this big, ugly bill. This bill, as you know, took health insurance right out from underneath 400,000 plus people in Arizona.
One issue front and center for Arizona, the data center boom and the drought. Moderators asked two of the candidates about detrimental effects of big tech on the environment, and two candidates specifically about water and the drought.
I think when we think of desalination and working with San Diego and working with Mexico so that we can pull water from the Sea of Cortez.
Water is incredibly important, and it is an existential crisis. And I've reached out to tribal leaders. You see, our tribes have senior water rights over other states. We need to bring them into negotiations.
As far as data centers are concerned, they need to be good stewards and good members of the community and members of Congress. And in Congress, we need to hold them accountable. They need to be water neutral.
Economics like growth and opportunities for our people do not have to conflict with environmental priorities necessarily. So we've got to make sure that we can do both. But that's what a Democrat does, is make sure that those priorities are balanced.
If polls are any indication, whoever comes out of this field should have as good a chance as any in recent election cycles to topple the Republican. Running during a midterm when gas prices and inflation are up, and the war in Iran continues into its fifth month after the president said it would last 4 to 5 weeks. Polls show all three of those issues remain concerns among most voters. Joe Dana, 12 News.
Joe, thank you. And the Republican nominee will also emerge from a pretty crowded field. The candidates share similar views on many of the major issues, so we asked each of them what sets them apart from their GOP opponents. Here's what each had to say.
All eyes are on Arizona's Congressional District 1 race, one of the very few competitive races in the entire country. It's currently being held by Republican Congressman David Schweikert, but it's up for grabs now since he announced his run for Arizona governor. The three candidates on the Republican side hoping to fill that seat come from various backgrounds: a state lawmaker, defense tech CEO, and a former Arizona Cardinals football player. Jay Feely spent 14 years in the NFL, then became a broadcaster for CBS. He's the only candidate in this race that has President Donald Trump's endorsement.
We need people wanting to go there to be a civil servant, not to enrich themselves, so they're going to stand up for their beliefs, but also stand up for the people. And, I think that's exactly who I am.
It's his first time running for public office. Same with John Trobaugh, a defense tech CEO who is endorsed by Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell and the Arizona Police Association.
There's never been a conservative tech CEO in Congress, and I intend to go to Congress and be the guy that helped bridges that.
Former state representative Joseph Chaplick's campaign never got back to us for a sit-down interview. During the Arizona Clean Elections debate, he claimed to have more than 100 endorsements, including from Maricopa County Sheriff Jerry Sheridan and County Recorder Justin Heap.
I can hit the ground running in D.C. with that experience. I've helped get 2.5% flat tax that I sponsored for you. I helped get school choice, which is leading the nation.
When it came to the issues, everyone had the same priorities they would focus on if elected. Keeping the border secure, improving the economy, water security. All are in favor of the President's Save America Act and keeping elections secure. So we asked the candidates if their views are pretty much the same, what separates them from their opponents?
I have a deep geopolitical and broad understanding of what's happening around the world. Appreciate my opponents. They're both nice gentlemen, but we have very different professional backgrounds, and I think I bring that to the table.
I'm the only one with a proven record, proven flawless voting record for this district. I've represented the district well, and I've been serving for 6 years in this district.
Spending 10 years on national TV every Sunday, broadcasting, talking to the viewers and talking about the game I love of football has prepared me for that opportunity. And I think we need leaders who are willing to talk to people that completely disagree with them.
But it's not just Republicans they have to convince. What makes this district so competitive is the more than 170,000 independent voters they have to sway to their side.
And you can ask about those bills that I've sponsored. They were good for all Arizona, not just the Republican Party. They weren't just bills that I ran for the Republican Party. These are bills that were good for everybody.
I think most people, whether you're Republican, whether you're a Democrat or independent, we want first the right economic environment. You look at $40 trillion in debt growing at $1 trillion every 100 days, and neither party does anything about it.
I talk common sense, talk about fiscal policy, talk about the things that we need to address, and people can get on board with that. And it's not about being Democrat or Republican, it's about the best answer for all of us.
That was Chase Golightly reporting. We appreciate it, Chase. We also have live election coverage starting tonight at 7 o'clock. Those first results expected to drop just after 8 o'clock. At least historically, that is when they will drop. Just download the 12 News app for free on your TV to watch now.